Thank you, Chairman Stabenow, and thank you, Ranking Member Bozeman. I am thrilled that we are having this hearing today. I have been so excited looking forward to this, and I want to thank our panel of witnesses for being here. And, I'm pleased that the committee has decided that we need to discuss price manipulation, collusion, restrictions of competition, and other unfair practices in the cattle markets. I applaud American Farm Bureau President Zippy Duvall for establishing a cattle market working group in April 2020 to investigate and research the volatile activities in the cattle markets. And the findings and suggested that resulted from that working group's research are quite informative, and it should be taken into consideration. What we've been seeing in the cattle markets, rock bottom prices for fed cattle, yet sky-high prices for boxed beef, just defies the basic laws of economics, supply and demand, and we need some solutions. We need some solutions, and we need some answers, and we need to act upon this. Being a producer myself, as well as a family that operates a stockyard that has had a live cattle auction since 1942, I'm getting hundreds of calls from producers, from beef cattle producers that are saying, Cindy, what is wrong with this market? They are seeing their prices they're getting, and they're seeing what the prices are at the grocery store and with boxed beef. Several of my colleagues have put forth legislation that will require USDA to establish a minimum mandatory negotiated trade in the cash markets by the packers. We have talked about many things, but I have never seen so many producers give me calls. They are busy. Right now, they're in fields all across America, cutting hay, baling hay, getting ready to put it in the barn for winter so they can feed their cattle. My 87-year-old father-in-law, I assure you, is fixing fence right now today somewhere because we are protecting our herd. We have got to be the voice to protect this industry. Mr. Tupper, your fellow panelists here, they seem to suggest that the AMAs are the solution to low prices being paid to producers. Tell me how an alternative marketing agreement between a feeder and a packer will benefit a cow-calf producer who unloads a gooseneck load of trailer load at your barn every week. How would that benefit that producer?
It won't. In short, there's no question that there can be some value, and we need to make sure that we get a good product out there, but there are other ways to do it than just an AMA.
Well, I want to be here because these producers can't be here, and they know exactly what you just said. They know that. They don't have a seat at this table. Farm Bureau was not asked to be a panelist today as I requested, but I assure you their chair at this table is not empty because I'm sitting in it. Should this committee continue further discussions on the legislative proposals in hopes of finding legislative solutions to bring greater price transparency to the market, Mr. Tupper?
Absolutely. We need to know, and one of the big things, the big elephant in the room when you talk to these big feeders, the corporate feeder does not want you to know what price they get versus what price I get when I sell my fat cattle from my feedlot in Nebraska. So I am going to throw in the Nebraska section, but they don't want to know the differences that may be, what I can get versus what they can get.
We have a lot of customers, you and I, and they're being treated very unfairly right now, and I think that it is time for that to stop. My second question is for Dr. Tonser. I have a little bit of time left. When an August 2019 fire knocked out one of the largest beef processing facilities in the country in Holcomb, Texas, and boy, I remember the day watching it on national news and that smoke bellowing out, cattle prices collapsed while wholesale beef prices rose 12% in a week. In 7 days, wholesale beef prices rose 12%. During the COVID pandemic, the same trends were amplified and the effect was more widespread. At the height of the pandemic, wholesale beef prices doubled the previous years, but those gains were never experienced on a rancher's level. We're available risk management tools sufficient for ranchers to manage their risk during these highly volatile events that we didn't expect?
Oh, pardon me. So I'm not aware of a risk management tool against a fire at a plant if you're a producer. right? Because that's a market access thing for something I sell. I'm not aware of a tool that would be there for that. To answer the question, there are risk management tools for somebody that sells fed cattle or feeder cattle for just general price movement, whether that is a traditional hedge using CME products, whether it is a USDA livestock insurance product or the like. Those tools do exist. That's probably a whole other separate discussion for a day, but none of them are specific to a fire or a loss of packing capacity specifically.
Well, I'm out of time, and I appreciate your answers, and I hope we have another round because I have a lot more questions. Thank you, Ranking Member Bozeman. And again, today's been so helpful. It really has. And no one is out to destroy any company, any industry. The packers are very vital in our industry, and we realize that. We just are so appreciative of the panel and hopefully maybe coming to some solutions now that we've had this hearing. My third question is for Mr. Tupper again, because we're talking about the livestock mandatory reporting. And with the authorization for the livestock mandatory reporting set to expire at the end of this September, what is the case to be made for including formula-based pricing in the reporting just as current negotiated cash trade? And would this additional information be beneficial for producers as they strive for more information into the cattle markets, as Senator Fisher has alluded to?
I think it would be more beneficial. I think the one thing, and this is going to be real layman's terms here, confidentiality kills LMR. When we can't see because there isn't, and here's the key, there isn't enough participants in the market, we can't report it. The trouble with that is in a fat cattle market today, everybody with iPhones, and you and I know this in the marketplace, if somebody's bidding $1.26, which I got texted this morning for fat cattle, everybody in the industry knows it. So this confidentiality rule that they fall back on 370-20, thank you, Mr. Tonzer, does not fit for this industry. And I understand it, and I've been told every time we go to USDA, I get shot backwards because I throw up all over confidentiality. But that's one of the big things. We can't get it all in there.
Thank you. And I have a question for Dr. Hendrickson. In April and May of 2020, we saw the grocery stores, just the shelves that were barren, and store meat cases and portions of our country, meat packing plants at a standstill due to the COVID, and a backup of fed cattle that could not be processed because the people just weren't there to be able to process that. While larger, more efficient packing plants allow for more daily production of meat, can a case be made for directing more funding to smaller independent and regional packing facilities to reinforce their role in our supply chains so we will not experience the grocery store shelves to be completely empty like we experienced in that totally unprecedented pandemic?
Thank you, Senator Hyde-Smith. I think that building up more forms of capacity in beef packing and other parts of the food system is absolutely critical. And we don't want everything concentrated in one node. We need to have multiple nodes and multiple connectivity between nodes in order for us to be more resilient and nimble in responding to something like the pandemic. So I think that supporting new kinds of capacity at different levels. Like right now, we don't have anybody between those who can process maybe 80 or 90 cattle a day and people that are, doing 5,000 or more a day. With that middle is missing, and I think that trying to reinforce and build that up is really important.
Thank you. And for Mark Gardner, some time ago, USDA, they consolidated GIPSA under the mission area of the USDA Agriculture Marketing Service. Do you, as panelists, believe this move has limited the agency's ability to investigate any level of the market manipulation in the beef industry? And what level of collaboration do you believe there should be between USDA and the Department of Justice?
Senator, I don't feel I'm qualified to answer that, so I'm not going to conjecture.
Is there any panelist that would like to address that? Okay, it'll go unanswered.
I don't either. Good job.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. My time has expired.